Insightful.
Insightful.
Yeah.
Or just idiotic. Or somewhere in between. That's another scale, isn't it?
Where do we sit on the scale, guys? Don't comment that.
Yeah. Hi guys, welcome back to The Way It Goes podcast, episode 9. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching and listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and YouTube. We've had such great feedback and we want to continue to do this, so thanks for supporting us so far. It's been really awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
We're nearly on episode 10.
I know, once we get to episode 10 is a Christmas special. On Christmas Day, would you believe?
On Christmas
On
Day.
Christmas Day.
Oh.
What a treat. What a
Yeah,
present.
do you know what? Like, that's worked out really well.
Yeah.
By the way, we didn't plan that.
We didn't plan that. No, we didn't plan that at all.
We didn't plan that at all.
Just happens to be a
It just
Monday.
happened to be a Monday.
Yeah. What a time. What a time to be alive. So yeah, it's actually, we're really enjoying doing the podcast at the moment, and we're kind of at that stage with it now. I mean, hopefully one day we'll look back on this and we'll say, oh, that was a different time, because we're kind of at the stage now where we've got quite a few decent regular listeners, and it's really cool to get the feedback on a Monday. Like, I get texts come through and say, oh, I've listened to today's episode and all that kind of thing.
And the thing is,
It's
the
really
growth is, we're seeing the growth.
Yeah, it's always so difficult starting out a new project,
Yeah,
and
100%.
it's so easy to get disheartened when you don't grow immediately. And I think that's something that we've always wanted to avoid, is like, we're not gonna all of a sudden be out there overnight. Like, it took me so long to grow my YouTube channel, and even now it's not like a big channel. Like, I'm still working on that, so it's always interesting to see how these things grow over time.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said to you when we started this, consistency is key.
Yeah.
Consistency is 100% key for anything you do in life, really. If you keep consistent at it, you get better at it.
Yeah,
or
100%, yeah.
You know, you grow from it.
Yeah, 100%. So, well, what's new with you, Ryan?
Do you know what? Not much.
Right, well, with that admin out of the way.
Oh, no, literally, like, past week, work.
Yeah, just
Work,
working,
mate.
chilling.
I mean, I'm going to a
year.
gig tonight.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
And we've got a gig at the weekend, which will be cool.
Yes.
So yeah, good times. It's one of them. It's that time of year, isn't it? Like December. We're recording this it's December 12th on the day of recording of this episode. And yeah, everything's going to be a bit out of whack because we record quite a few episodes at a time. Don't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening and giving us all your messages, feedback, the dilemmas you submit, the quotes, all the bits and bobs that we get through Instagram and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool to see. We really appreciate it. So thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about introverts versus extroverts, which I think is quite an interesting topic, because I think we've got quite different opinions on this, which will be quite interesting to chat about. And I think a lot of people, for me personally, I think being an introvert or an extrovert, I don't necessarily think people necessarily fall into one of those two categories. I think it's a very broad spectrum. And I think there's probably quite a few people who are still trying to figure out where they are on that spectrum and how they fit in with other people.
Definitely depends on how well you know your social battery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because if you know your social battery quite well, if you know that, you know, you can stand people for X amount of hours or X amount of minutes.
Yeah.
You know where you fit.
Yeah.
Like for me, I would say I'm a very extroverted person. When I'm around people that I know, but when I'm on my own, I'm quite introverted. And I think that's less of a people thing, like less of a dealing with people thing, and more of a just, to be honest, probably a confidence thing.
Not only that, but you know what as well? I think genuinely it is an only child syndrome thing, because we're both only childs. I think we're probably quite used to having our own space. And that's something that I had to learn when going into a relationship, was how to share that space quite a lot more. And that was a big adaptation. It's quite weird going back the other way and being by myself and, you know, having that again. Yeah. But I think that overall, having no brothers or sisters, you kind of get into that realm of like, okay, so you're used to being by yourself and you're used to doing that. So
I think the thing for me, because like when I was growing up, I was very much like mum drilled into me, like share, you know, always share, always like, you know, if people like offer things, like if you got friends around, offer them a drink, stuff like that. So I'm like a weird only child, because I'm always up for
overly
like
social,
overly social, overly like Oh, you need something like the other day. I was at work. I had lunch on me. I think I went to Burger King, and I was just offering bits of food out.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, "Oh, do you want a chip? Oh, yeah. Do you want a chili cheese bite?
Yeah. Oh, chili cheese bite.
Chili cheese bites."
No, it's their chicken straws. I love Burger King chicken straws.
Let's not get bogged down.
Turn into a food podcast also.
But yeah, like I've always been like that. So I'm like I'm like a weird only child. And I'm sure there's more of us out there.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I'm very much all about, like, if I've got something, I'm happy to share that with someone.
I think your family's very much like that as well. Like I think they've always been party people and really like having company around and that kind of thing. So
it's like I've said before, with the house that everyone ends up at.
Yeah. It's like the hub. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I suppose I'm kind of on the opposite end. Like I would classify myself more introverted than extroverted, and I think I've always been that way. Yeah. So the interesting thing is, I looked a little bit into like studies in the UK and various places about so people were surveyed, and they were asked like, where do you think you fall into those categories, and then they were sort of quizzed on their personality traits and that kind of thing. And interestingly, it was a lot lower percentage of people said that they thought they were introverted than extroverted. A lot more people said that they thought they were extroverted, which I suppose maybe they might because they've just got the confidence to say so.
Yeah. I it could possibly be like, when you're asked that question, it's quite a invasive question.
I suppose so, yeah, because it's talking about your personality as a broad whole, isn't it?
Yeah. So I guess a lot of people, even if they are introverted more often than not, would rather say, "Oh yeah, I'm an extrovert."
Yeah.
Even though they are, like, they prefer their personal space. I keep hitting this microphone. I swear to God. It's the cable.
It's the cable, yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
I think for me, I would class myself a bit more introverted than extroverted, and I think that's just because it is a social battery thing, like you say. Like it goes back to that social battery thing. Like I very much will hit a hard limit, and you'll see that in me. Like I'll be really having a conversation and really engaged with it, and then all of a sudden I just switch off like that, and I'm just like, I just need now to not be here and doing this, and I don't know what that is. I've always been like that, and I don't know why it is like that.
I think it is just a certain point you just kind of... Cause I get it very rarely, but I do get it sometimes, where I'm just like, I have no emotional patience to deal with what...
I guess that's down to what's going on with you as well, isn't it? Like if you've got personal stuff going on, you're less likely to have the patience to deal with someone else's problems or whatever it might be.
You're trying to like focus on your own self.
Yeah.
And then like, if someone, so for instance, if someone comes up to you and they're like, oh, I'm having a really bad day, but you're having a bad day, you're less likely to be like, let's have a talk about it. You're more likely to be, yeah, me too. And kind of try and kill that conversation.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to get like that, to be fair. Like I'm always happy to, Jesus. I don't know if that's going to pick up on the mic, but that was bloody loud.
Yeah, we've got like quite a bit of rain, and we've got like people bashing about outside, so sorry about the background.
Sorry about the background noise, but like it takes quite a lot for me to get to that point where I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. I think that comes back to like my house being the place where everyone who had any sort of life trouble ended up, and we all just sat there and talked about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
My house was like the little therapy home.
Yeah.
Everyone used to come there and be like, "Oh, I feel better now." And we're like,
yeah, you're exhausted from it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I've always said now, because we used to have a lot of like house parties at my house and that when I was younger. And I've always said now, like, if it was to happen now, I think I'd be drained from it, just because,
100%.
Like, I quite like being able to go home and that's my space, and I can just switch off and chill out and do what I want to do. And I think that is what gets me through those social interactions. Like, if I'm out and I'm at a really busy pub or something, eventually it gets quite overwhelming for me, and I just feel like it's all the background babble just comes together as like one noise that's like overwhelming, and I just get like exhausted from that, and then trying to listen to someone in that environment and that kind of thing as well. And then I go home and it's quiet, and I'm just like, oh, that's lovely.
This is the thing, like for me, it is a case of if I'm tired, and this has only been since I got ill.
Yeah.
The more tired I get, the more I'm likely to just like switch off and just be like, I don't have the energy for it.
Yeah.
Whereas like I'm sat there and I'm just like, I want to engage, but like physically my body's just like, no, tired now, sleepy time.
I don't know. I'd like to be more social and stuff like that, but I just feel like I don't have that social battery energy for it.
That's fair enough.
Which is, I mean, it kind of is what it is. Like it's just one of those things. I feel like for the most part anyway, I think that I would rather do those things in short bursts and know that I can enjoy them, rather than pushing myself to do something that I don't want to do. And there's definitely like a peer pressure element as well. I think like there's probably an element of like people, especially if you've got like a group of mates who have very opposing opinions on it.
Yeah.
Like I have some friends who are extremely extroverted to the point where I find them difficult to be around.
Yeah.
And that's not because I dislike them or that I think they're annoying or anything like that. It's literally just because we're very different polar opposites in terms of like, I like my own space, a bit of peace and quiet. And they really like to be out all the time, like in busy pubs, clubs, all that kind of thing. And for me, I just can't tolerate that.
It's not feasible.
And it's just not for me, no. And so I think there's definitely a balance when you're growing up. There's a balance to find where you need to figure out how to make time for those friends and in what environments 100%. To make time for those friends. Because I've got probably people that would be like, oh, come out to the pub this weekend. Like, come and like, let's get drunk and let's do this and let's do that. Yeah. And for me, I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered. Like, I would rather catch up with those people over a dinner or something. And even if you have a few drinks then, like, it's fine. But for me, like, are you really going to get quality time with that person if you just meet up at the pub with them on a Friday night?
I mean, that's very true because you hate spoons on a Saturday.
It's just busy, isn't it?
You hate.
I used to love it when I was like a teenager and like we were like going in there for our first pint and all that. Like, that's a different story, isn't it? But when you're like, when you're getting a little bit older and you like your own space, it's quite. Yeah, it's a lot.
I guess that's the difference. Guess that's the difference for me. Yeah, is that I'm still going out and like
you go out a lot more than I do.
I go out to gigs a lot and I meet people at shows and stuff like that, and I make friends through that. And I love that. Like that is me down to the. I'm one of these people where I love going out to make new friends and meet new people. It's just. Like for me, that's how my world goes around. I love just meeting new people, making new friends, and learning about things, like learning about different people and learning about different people's lives and stuff like that. And like for me, that's fulfilling. Yeah, it's kind of like I've got a recharging social battery. Like through being social, it just recharges again. Yeah. And when I'm on my own, it's just like sort of like, I want to be talking to people. I want to be around.
Yeah, you get used to it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I
don't know what the switching point was for me because I did used to be very social. Like
you did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it was to be honest that changed that for me. I don't know whether it's just. I think as well part of my problem is I'm very empathetic. Like I know people talk about being an empath and all that. I don't really like to put myself in that category, but I understand it to a degree because for me, I really absorb how people feel. Yeah. So like if I'm in a room and there's 3 people around me that are like really low and really sad, I absorb that energy and I feel that.
Yeah. The thing is there's being an empath and then there's being someone that goes around going, oh, I'm an empath.
You know what I mean? Like, no, you're a narcissist.
No, exactly. Like there's a difference. If you're an empath, you feel people's pain. Yeah. Like I would say I'm kind of an empath. I wouldn't say I'm like if someone's upset, my initial thing is like I'm a massive hugger. So I'm like, do you want a hug? Because that's how I help. Yeah. Like I'm terrible with words. So like it takes me ages to be able to find the right words to try and comfort someone. Yeah. So I'm like, what's the most immediate thing I can do? Here, have a hug.
Yeah. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm quite wordy as a person, I think. I'm quite like...
you are.
I see like, I kind of see poetry in everything and, that kind of thing. So that's kind of how I deal with it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just been a bit of a shift in my personality over the years. We've got some real rain coming down now.
Real rain.
Oh. It's like white noise.
Proper coming down.
Yeah, I know. You're going to hear that. So enjoy the white noise.
I mean, it's not picking it up on the mics. I'm just looking at the it's fine.
Yeah, no, we've had it before. It's just the nature of the beast.
I mean, enjoy the ASMR.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Just put the mics to the ceiling.
Yeah, it just became a lot more relaxing. Yeah. You
Cozy.
weren't stressing about where you fit in this category, introvert or extrovert, but now we just listen to the rain.
Oh.
Yeah. But what we could be doing, we could be in a busy club. But no.
Your worst nightmare.
Yeah. But no, I'm just sitting listening to the rain. I love that of a night time. Just lay in bed, listen to the rain.
I don't. Off topic. But when I usually have my YouTube set up.
Yeah.
So I'll just like have my telly on and then have it like on a sleep timer.
Yeah.
I started listening to, oh my word.
Yeah.
It's getting really bad.
We're just going to float away in a minute.
Yeah, literally. The whole thing's just like Twister. I started listening to, what was it? It was like a Cozy Fire.
Oh, thing. Do you know what? Yeah.
But it was like fire and rain. And, mate, I was laying in bed and I was just like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, it's so relaxing.
Yeah.
And after a busy day of being out in busy clubs and pubs, sometimes you just need that.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, you can't be just one or the other. Like, there's days where you are slightly different on that scale, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it does genuinely all come back to like that social battery.
Yeah,
like we were saying, like we've been saying for most of the episode, like if your social battery is quite high, you're gonna be more extrovert. Well, you might not necessarily be more extroverted, but you'll have more energy to expend for it being more extroverted.
Yeah.
But I think for me, there isn't really like. I think there isn't really like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a big difference between introvert and extrovert.
Okay.
The only difference is that one person likes going out more and the other one likes staying in more. They can still coexist and talk to each other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I'm not sure I agree, actually. Like, I think maybe, let's say, for example, like during COVID, right? So during COVID, there was probably a very different mentality between the people that had to stay in and had that cabin fever because they were extroverted. If you're like an extreme extrovert and you weren't allowed to go out clubbing or pubbing or whatever you might do, like going out and being social every day, all day, if you weren't able to do that and you were stuck indoors, that probably had a bigger mental health impact. Than the people who were kind of okay with that lifestyle. So it's actually like, oh, sweet, I can work from home now and I can just, chat to my friends on Discord or Skype or whatever. And then,
That's fair, actually. Yeah, no, I didn't think of that.
You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't think of that aspect of it.
Obviously, that's not the same now because that's been and gone.
Yeah, now it's been and gone. So in that time, I guess there would be quite a real disparity between the two. Yeah, no, that's fair. That is fair. Understandable. I feel like I struggled a bit with that. Yeah. But then me and you were on Discord pretty much every day.
We were chatting all the time. Yeah.
Chatting all the time.
You just find things to do, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I think that's probably one of the best things about. Ever slightly off topic about like the internet and how connected we are these days. It's one of the better things about the internet.
Yeah.
Is how connected we are. Because,
connecting people.
God, imagine
COVID without that, without social media.
Without social media,
that would
without
be tough.
being able to connect. Because, like we were saying about extroverted people must have had it
particularly tough during
that time. Imagine that without anything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get it sometimes, like if you're at work or if everyone's at work and there's no one online and I'm on my day off and I'm sat there at my computer just looking at an empty chat.
Yeah, and you're thinking, oh, what should I do today?
I'm just thinking, like, what should I do?
Yeah.
And in all honesty, it does like just demotivate me to do anything.
Yeah, sometimes you get into that rut, don't you?
Yeah, like for me, like talking to people and being around people is what motivates me to do things.
Yeah.
Like this, for instance. being around you and us having that conversation constantly of should we do something like this, do we want to do something like this, motivated me to do it and motivated me to keep doing it, because I don't think without that social interaction aspect, yes, I think it would have been harder for me to stay motivated in doing this.
Yeah.
I think without like the feedback and not necessarily like the good feedback, because I've had bad feedback about the podcast as well. And it's I hold nothing against the people that tell me these things. I want them to. I would rather people be 100% brutally honest about
Yeah,
this.
of course. Yeah, it's constructive that way, isn't
Exactly.
it?
So for me, like that sort of side of things, just it's helpful, if you get what I mean. Like it's helpful for my social battery, and it's helpful for me in terms of being, I would argue, an extrovert.
Yeah. I think for me being more introverted, don't get me wrong, like I thrive on coexisting, definitely. Like I find it, if you've got a partner, for example, that's really on the same wavelength as you, and you're coexisting, and you can have periods of quiet where you're not really interacting with each other, or you go and do your separate things and all that kind of thing. I find that very easy, because that person in theory knows your limits in terms of your social battery and what you can do and what you can't do, and you'll be okay with just chilling out together and not having to talk constantly. And I think that's fine, but I think obviously you've then got the opposite side of that, where it's like, well, you make an effort to go out and see friends. And I think we've spoken about this loads of times before, where it's like we're all kind of on the same wavelength in our friendship group, where we know we can switch off and not chat for a little while and it's okay. And I very much think that's a big part of it, because I think if it wasn't for that, I'd find it draining.
I was about to say,
do
like,
everything.
I think that's why our friendships lasted so long.
Yeah.
It's because we know each other's limits.
Yeah.
We know each other so well.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like how well we know each other.
Yeah.
And like we could sit, like we have done before, on the way back from shoots in silence.
Yeah, we just got a bit of music on in the background, and
there's no issue.
Well, let's be fair. It's like, I mean, sometimes we sit here and we do this talking for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
We do like 3 episodes in one shoot, and that's a lot of talking.
That is a lot.
So sometimes we just get in the car and we're like, "That's
switch off."
Yeah, just switch off. Put some music on, and we just chill out till we get back. Yeah, which is fine. But some people might find that really awkward, and that's another interesting part of it, is that like if you're introverted and you don't have as much social interaction, then potentially you might find those situations more awkward as well. Like you might crave that silence, but you might find that silence more awkward because you're not used to being around people, full stop. Like if you're at home a lot of the time and you don't really go out, or you don't have a big friendship group outside of what you do online, for example, or whatever, then you might find that more difficult. So it's really interesting. But I think there's so much pressure on people when people talk about, are you introverted or are you extroverted? I think there's a lot of pressure on putting people into one basket. You know, are you this or are you this? I really don't think that it is that. I think there's such a broad spectrum, and I think you can be anywhere in the middle. And I think it can fluctuate as well, depending on A, your mood, B, maybe the time of year and what's going on around socially and that kind of thing.
And I think it does, like, it does affect your day to day.
Yeah.
Because just thinking about it, like, if you're more extroverted, take a working environment, for instance. If you're more extroverted, you're more likely to, in my opinion, from what I've seen, you're more likely to progress. Because you're talking to the right people, you're friendly to people, and you're in and around that circle of people that they know you because you talk a lot. Now, if you're one of these people that's an introvert, but you're less social, and you're head down working hard every day, thinking about, does that hold you back? And not in a negative way, like not in the sense of being an introvert is going to hold you back in life. It's not like that. It is in a sense of, because you are not speaking as much or not getting involved as much, in the social aspect of work, is that holding...
Is that a hindrance, maybe?
Is that a hindrance? And I personally would feel like that must be a horrible pressure on those...
Yeah, I've never really thought about that, to be fair.
Yeah, that because it must sit in the back of people's minds. Like, again, I'm a very sociable person, so it doesn't really occur to me. And for me personally, I like to get everyone involved. And, you know, if someone's not comfortable, then fine. You know, if they say, no, actually, I then fine. You know, I'll still try to keep them involved in sort of smaller aspects.
Yeah.
But not make them the focus.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's not what they want there. But I think I like to try and get everyone involved. So there's less of that feeling of disconnect between the people that don't really talk as much and the people that do. And that isn't just necessarily at work. Like, that is everywhere. Like, I've done it at gigs before. I've done it at shows where someone's been a little bit, you know, maybe a little bit shy, and like we've started, like, me and my friends, Taylor or whoever I'm with, starts talking to them and brings them out of themselves. And I think that's really lovely. Like, I think that's really nice, because we're all, at the end of the day, from a show side of things, we're all there to have fun. We're all there to have a good time. We're all there to, you know, party and just have fun. So I like it when I can get that out of people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, but again, I think that comes down to less of me being an oh, for God's sake, I keep hitting the mic again. Less of me being, like, extroverted, but more of me just wanting people to have fun and like liking helping people have fun, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it comes back to that. My family's an absolute nightmare when it comes to parties.
Yeah. I think for me, the other side of it is, like, I guess people expect you to have this figured out early on in life, but I think as you change through your sort of 20s, 30s, you're probably, it's the social element of it, and the fact that you might start to prefer going out a lot more and socialising, or you might prefer to stay in more and not socialise as much. And I think that probably changes quite a bit over that time. Yeah. So I don't think it's something you necessarily have to understand about yourself early on. Like, I think I've had a big shift in that. And I suppose it's a bit of a weird balance as well, because some might think that I am really extroverted on the basis that I'm always in front of a camera. You know, like, I upload regularly to YouTube, and I've got a channel that brings me in business and money, and that's part of my job, is to just literally just straight away put the persona on and start talking.
But we said about this, the internet is fake.
Yeah, 100%.
So, you know,
this conversation right now is no reflection on how I'm doing in my life right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about 100%. A specific topic right now, and it might come across on camera that, oh yeah, like, he's doing this or doing that, or this is his mood right now, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually what's going on behind closed doors.
And if you think we've got everything together, we absolutely do not. We absolutely do not.
That's funny, Ryan. That's yeah. What a misconception.
Like, I've had people say to me, like, oh, like, I'll say stuff, and I'll surprise myself because it actually sounds quite mature. And then people will go, oh yeah, that's really interesting, like what you said there. And I'm like, wait, I said that?
Yeah.
Oh wait, oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh,
like, yeah. Oh, let me assure you, that's a rare occurrence.
No, I don't know. I feel like it changes as you grow, regardless of where you think you start on that spectrum of introvert versus extrovert. I think it changes as you go.
I definitely agree.
For me, I think it's been quite difficult being more introverted than... I would say I'm more introverted than average in my age range, potentially, but not massively so. Like, there's probably a lot of people around our age that literally would not even consider doing this or going out to a pub or like all that kind of thing. They just don't, they're not interested in socialising at all.
I think that comes down again to, like, families as well. Like
Yeah,
a lot of people our age, like we said, got married, got kids, stuff like that, and you do become a little less sociable, because that's not the focus, and that's fair. Like obviously, the focus is the family that you have, pardon me, around you.
And again, I suppose that's probably quite difficult for those people, because if you
100%,
just, if you know, if you're quite extroverted and then all of a sudden you're having kids and getting married and you've got more responsibilities, then that's going to be more difficult, especially if your friends, obviously in our age range, potentially some of your friends might either still be single or going out a lot or whatever it might be. And so if you've then suddenly got all these responsibilities, it's then quite difficult. If you are quite extroverted and you want to socialise all the time or you want to go out all the time, it's then difficult to do that because of those responsibilities.
And
That must be quite hard as well.
Exactly, and then you have to make arrangements, make plans and stuff like that.
And
in order to just go out for one evening.
Can we just talk about making plans as an adult for a second? Because I'm not being funny. It's actually a nightmare. It is actually a nightmare because everyone's schedule is so different.
This recording session is testament to that.
Yeah, we didn't plan to be here today, but we had to be to get the episodes out on time because of our schedules are so different. And I suppose it really varies because a lot of people used to just do a 9 to 5 and that was strictly it, and that was kind of how it is. But I think now, and we've spoken about this before, where like a lot of people's perception of work has changed. A lot of people do now hybrid working from home since COVID, and a lot of people have kind of social media related jobs or do stuff like I do, where it's like, you know, you go out and you're self-employed and you do bits and bobs.
I think there was a big boom in social media jobs.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I think that's part of it, is that now people's schedules are probably even more different than they used to be, because it used to be like, cool, everyone's got a 9 to 5 and then you just go out on Friday and Saturday night, whereas now it's not quite like that. It's like, okay, I've got Wednesday and Thursday off, and it's like, well, what good is that to anyone if everyone's working Monday to Friday?
Exactly.
So there's that element to it, but also it's just like, again, you've got those people who are like, oh sorry, I can't do that night because I'm looking after the kids, or because I've got to go and do this and do that, I'm visiting family that week, you know. And it ends up being like, cool, right, I'll pencil you in 6 months' time. And there are friends like that, aren't there? That you...
And you kind of like big events.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be like, cool, this is happening in this date and whatever time. Like, you need to make your arrangements.
Yeah.
Because like, for me, I'm down to do whatever at the drop of the hat. But that's because I've got no responsibilities.
Yeah.
So for me, it's different. Like I'm very blessed that I don't have. Well, I mean, some people would disagree, but I'm very blessed that I don't have next to any responsibilities.
Yeah.
So for me, I can do whatever. I can, you know, oh, we're going out this weekend. Cool. Oh, we're going out tomorrow. Cool.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Like,
you can just
it doesn't
do it.
matter.
Yeah.
I can just do it.
Yeah.
So, like, to bring it back to what we was talking about, like, for me, that's great being extroverted.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can't imagine what it's like for, like we were saying, for those who are extroverted but have all of these responsibilities on top.
Yeah.
And then their only social interactions are their family, because although I'm sure, like, you know, these people, they love their family. I know, like, during COVID, I was getting sick to death of living at home.
Yeah, yeah.
Of being stuck indoors every day. And it wasn't anything that, like, you know, my mum or dad had done. It was just like, I want to talk to other people.
Yeah.
In real life. You know what I mean? And like, I guess it gets to a point where you kind of, I think that's why for me, I like making new friends a lot, because I like to change it up. Like, I've got my close circle of people that like stick with me for all, like, forever.
Yeah, yeah.
But there is that aspect of, I like to engage with new people just so it's fresh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because even with close friends, you can get to a point sometimes where you've had the same conversation 6 times, mainly because I've forgotten what I said yesterday.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah. I think so kind of, when we're talking about the spectrum of it, I think there's a lot of people who describe themselves now as an introverted extrovert, which is you, definitely, to a T, yeah. And I think a lot of people probably use that as it's a middle ground, isn't it? It's like you are very social. You're very kind of a bit of a social butterfly. You want to be out quite a lot. You want to meet new people. You want to interact with people quite a lot. But at the same time, your social battery will drain, and then you need to step back and take some time for yourself and do your own thing. I think a lot of people fall into that category, and I think I'm kind of in there as well, just on the lower end of that to what you are.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd agree.
So I actually find it really easy to talk to people because I do it for a job with YouTube, and now obviously we're doing this as well, which is not directly talking to people, but we are, if you know what I mean. Like we have an audience and so on. And also my day job is talking to people all day, every day, and meeting new people, right? So I find it very easy to just have conversations with people and get to know people. I don't find myself socially awkward at all. But I can literally anyone who comes up to me, I won't be fazed by that at all. I don't have any social anxiety. Whereas at the same time, I also don't have much patience for it because I have that introverted side to me that just wants a little bit of space to do my own thing. So it's a bit of a fine balance, because I find it quite difficult then to step away from my day to day. And then I don't really have much opportunity to meet new people and to chat to new people because I don't go out so much because of that. So that's
You're the intro guy.
Yeah.
You're the intro guy. You do the intros and then I keep the conversation going.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? Because it's like, I think that's where I've struggled to find my place in it, is that I find it really super easy to get to know people and to talk to people. That's not a problem at all. It's just getting to it.
Yeah.
It's just finding it.
Finding that balance and finding that, like...
Yeah, where do I find these people? That's my problem, because I don't want to be going to like a busy pub or something and finding a new friend or, whoever there, because I don't want to really be in that environment.
You need to come to some shows with me.
Well, I mean, we're going to one on Saturday, so that's
Saturday.
Right.
There we go.
But the point I'm trying to make is that, like, I'm sure there's probably a lot of people who will also feel the same way, in that you might find it quite easy to talk to people and you don't feel socially awkward.
Yeah.
But it's like...
your battery drains really quick.
Yeah, but not only that, but where do you find these people? Because you don't like going out that much. And that's where I sit in that spectrum, I think. And that's what I've figured out over the last few years.
I think to a point, it kind of... It also depends on comfort zones.
Yeah.
You need to be willing to push your comfort zone.
That's true, yeah. And admittedly, I probably don't do that as much now as I used to.
No, you grumpy old git. No, like, it comes to pushing your comfort zone. So, like, if you're in a situation, like, if you're wanting to go out, but you are a little bit like, yeah, but it's a lot of energy, and, like, I can't keep up with the conversation, I think you kind of just need to do it.
Do you know
and
what?
Experience it.
That happens to me quite a bit, actually. Like, I'll make a plan, and I'm not a big planning guy, right? I don't really like to plan stuff. Like
2 days notice.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Yeah, like, I have to know how I'm going to feel about it at the time. So if I've got something planned for like a couple of months' time, I'm dreading it. No matter how exciting it might be. It might be like, if someone said to me, right, Dan, Aston Martin have invited you to drive their new car in 2 months' time, I actually really wouldn't be looking forward to it that much. And the reason for it is because I struggle to know how I'm going to feel in that moment. Am I going to have the energy for it? Am I going to have the social battery for it? How am I going to be doing mentally at that time?
How did you feel about the sleep token then?
Well, this is it. But I know for me that I'm going to really love it when I'm there.
Yeah.
In that situation, I might get up that morning. I might be like, oh, I just want to charge this. I can't be bothered with it. I just want to lay in bed. Like, I really don't have the energy for this today. But I know as soon as I get my arse in gear and get up and get in the shower, get sorted, and I'm on my way there, I know that I'm then buzzing for it. And I'll be the same for the show on Saturday. Like, right now, I'm like, oh God, like, I've got a day off. Like, I could be like just chilling out and this and that. Like, oh, what a mission.
We've got work the next day.
We've got work the next day. Like, I'm going to be like, oh, I have to get on a train and I can't be bothered with it. But once I get there, I'll have the best night.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's something, like, exactly what you say. Like, sometimes you just have to step out of that comfort zone and be like, look, just push through it. It'll be fine. Do you know what I'm the same with is the gym.
Same.
Because I can't be bothered. I cannot be bothered And part of that is maybe introversion as well, because it's such a busy environment and you're worried. Everyone's looking at each other and it's all a bit
loud.
It's loud. It's a bit of a tetchy environment. You've got some people in there like the beefcakes who like constantly like wandering about like the big shots, and then you've got people who are just in there to take selfies, and the whole thing winds me up. And all I want to do is get my workout done and get home, and I can't be bothered until I get there, and then I'm like, this is great.
The thing is, you've got people around there that are like really friendly as well.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to give it a chance.
And I think I think people have this misconception of gyms is that it's full of people that are just going to get pissed off because you're there.
Yeah, true.
And it's like, no, like a lot of them actively want to help you if you have questions.
Yeah.
So like, it is one of those things like I say, you just kind of need to push through. My mum always said to me that the nights you don't want to go out are always the nights that you remember for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's quite good actually. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah, because you really don't want to go, but when you get there, oh my God, you have the best time.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm here now, so, and then you just got like, it's just this like weight is lifted off you because you're there.
So what do you think about FOMO versus JOMO? That's an interesting one. So fear of missing out,
right,
or joy of missing out.
Okay, right, okay. So I was about to say, what on earth is JOMO?
Yes, I can't remember. I think they used it for an advert for something. I can't remember, but it appeared on telly recently. Fair. Someone said JOMO. I think it was like a pizza advert or something.
Joy of missing out.
Yeah, they're basically saying your joy of missing out is sitting at home watching telly, eating pizza. I think that plays into introvert extrovert quite well, because you've got some people who will be like really gutted they can't make an event, and there's some people who are like looking forward to finding an excuse to cancel.
Honestly, no, I'm like, if I've got an event planned, I want to go. Like,
yeah, true. You're always buzzing for your next gig.
I'm buzzing for my next gig. I'm buzzing to do things.
Yeah.
Like, we got a friend's wedding next year.
Yeah,
and I'm well excited for it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm chuffed for them, obviously. But I'm just well excited to be doing something.
Yeah.
So I think for me, like, missing out is a horrible feeling. I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it. Like,
I'm not so bad with that, you know. I'm not really fazed by it that much. Like, even when people come back, oh, we had the best night, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I'm glad you had a good time. Like,
I'm glad you had a good time. I had a great time in bed.
Yeah. But at the same, I mean, there are obviously things that I have missed out on due to being unwell or whatever that I've like been gutted about. But in general, I try not to let it upset me too much.
Honestly, missing out on a show because of train strikes, I was fuming.
Yeah, I tell you what, actually, I did have one time where I had me and one of my exes, we were going to see Marshmello. We'd seen at Southwest 4 Festival like a year before or whatever, and we booked these tickets. And basically, when it came up with, like, it was talking about the supports and the show and all that, it came out that it wasn't actually going to be on stage until like 10, 11 o'clock at night, something like that.
Jesus Christ.
And the curfew was like 2 a.m. It was like a club venue or something. And she had work the next day, and it was like early as well. It was like 5 a.m. start or something.
That's grim.
Yeah. So basically, we just said, no, we can't do it. No. And that was a real shame. And obviously you lose out the money on the tickets as well. We couldn't resell them in time and all that. So it was a bit of a pain. But yeah, in general, like if I was to miss out on something, I'm not that fussed by it. But that's probably the introverted side of me, where it's like, I'm also very happy just chilling out in bed, watching a bit of Netflix, like, you know, listening to a bit of music, whatever. Like, that doesn't faze me that much. I don't know. I think the key message really for me is, if you haven't figured out where you are on that yet, it doesn't really matter, and you will find your people as well. Like, you'll find people like we have that understand where we sit on that spectrum, and you will also figure out how to deal with the people who are the opposite.
And I think those people that you bring in that are like that understand you, they're people that will stick around for years.
Oh,
like,
100%. Yeah,
they're true friends because they understand you.
And they won't be offended if you are one way or the other.
And it's not a case of them just being upset with you because you don't want to go out. They understand you, and that is entirely bigger than a friendship. Yeah, understanding a person to their core.
That's like, part of it for me as well. Is that I really like one-on-one time with people, and not even necessarily one-on-one, but I like to be able to be in an environment where you can really talk and connect.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, so I could go clubbing with my mates, but then it's just loud music. And yeah, you might have a good night, you might have a dance, you might have a laugh or whatever. It's like, and I have had nights like that, which are really fun. But at the same time, like, I feel like you're not really bonding with them. Like, you're... it really depends.
I don't know, because, like, for me, I hate bog standard clubs.
Yeah, obviously it's not your scene, is it?
I hate the music. Well, I wouldn't say I hate the music. I would just say I don't enjoy standing there listening to dum, dum, dum.
Yeah, just like clubbing music and that.
For,
yeah.
like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So when I went to, like, Face Down, like, having the different genres of music in terms of, like, you've got metal, you've got pop punk, you've got emo stuff, like, all night long.
Yeah.
You know, like I said to you, we were singing Black Parade.
Yep.
The top of our lungs.
Yeah. That's
a bonding experience.
Yeah. I totally agree
like
with
that.
Yeah.
For me, that was like a little gig, and a gig for me is like another bonding experience.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that makes sense. Yeah. When you put it like that. Yeah.
Because, like, in a club, this is why I have such beef with, like, your clubs that just play, like, house and techno and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can have a good time, you can have a dance, but in a club where you're playing music where there's actual singing and
meaningful
like
lyrics and people are connecting with it,
you can all sit there and scream the song at the top of your lungs. That is a bonding experience.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, like, that for me is something special.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
No, that's yeah. So I think my advice really would be to anyone who's listening who doesn't quite know where you fit in yet in that space. Just try and understand that not everyone is going to be like you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think that's the key to doing it as an adult. Is like, it doesn't matter how much you enjoy being social, like, because I've met people on the complete opposite ends. Like, I think I'm fairly in the middle, but I've met people who literally despise socializing completely. And I've also met people who are, like, bouncing off the walls all the time. And wherever you sit on that, like, you will find your people, and
100%.
You just need to accept that not everyone is going to be like you, but try and adapt to them to make them feel comfortable, and try and make them understand where you sit on that.
Not only that, if you understand other people, people will understand you.
Yeah.
Because if you take the time to understand a person and figure out, you know, not necessarily where they are on the, you know, introvert, extrovert, but where their limits are.
Yeah.
To conversation, to, you know, socializing and stuff like that, then they will start to understand you. And don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily, the onus isn't necessarily on you to have to understand the person. They need to have a level of communication and understanding towards you too. But genuinely, I think if you start to try and understand people, that's where you make connections for life. That's where you make friendships for life. 100%.
I think that's the perfect summary.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
That's it. I couldn't have put it better myself.
Oh, stop.
So yeah, I think that's it's a really interesting topic, I think, because I think like everyone's going to be different, right? And I'd love to hear from anyone listening, where do you think you fit on that scale, and what do you think you've learned reflecting on it? Because I think
also, just on that, how does it affect your daily life?
I'd
be really interested. I mean, if you're comfortable to share, obviously. I'd be really interested to see how you feel it affects your daily life, being either introverted or extroverted.
Yeah, nice. So you have a dilemma for us today, don't you?
Do.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm coming all organised today.
Yeah, I've not heard this in full, so hot take.
So, today's dilemma. Now, I'll preface this with the grammar is not the greatest.
Oh, here we go with the racing driver excuses. Oh, it was a bit slick out today. Oh, the wind wasn't right. Oh,
the track is wet.
Yeah.
So, bear with me as I try to decipher this and brief it down.
Go on.
So, should you be sharing with your partner that someone in your life, be it a co-worker or not necessarily, or a friend, has professed their love for you? Let's say in the recent, past year.
Posture.
Your
It's
face.
a bit specific.
I
Yeah, you
I
should-
looked over at you and you just disgust and horror.
Yeah, I just instantly just thought like, what a dreadful situation to be in.
Yeah, trust me. So this person has gone on to say, something happened to a friend recently that made me think about this. My friend, 21 female, and went to a party with her boyfriend, 24 male. Recently, one of her co-workers, 30 male, had confessed their love for my friend. I thought it was weird that she didn't tell her boyfriend about the co-worker earlier, but things ended up going south at the party. The boyfriend and the guy in question, she's put in brackets here, mainly the guy started stuff with the boyfriend, and the boyfriend was clueless until the girlfriend filled him in. She was telling me about it afterwards. I thought it was weird but I make weird social judgments, so I decided to post here. Fair.
Right.
Should she have shared with her boyfriend before, or she told me she doesn't hang out with a co-worker by herself since dating the boyfriend. She used to hang out with him pretty often, and I doubt they've hung out since. But I don't doubt that they hang out less. But I think I would want to know as the boyfriend. Thoughts?
I mean, firstly, facts.
Facts.
That's a sticky one. There's a few elements in there that may potentially swing it for me, and the one that really stuck out for me was the bit where you said that they used to hang out before, because that's a different kettle of fish, right? Let's say, for example, you have a partner, you meet someone new at work, and you start to gel with them, and they start to really like you, whatever. Let's say then they decide to come out and say, "Oh yeah, I really fancy you," or profess their love for you, whatever. That's a bit different to someone who you used to be old friends with at work, and then you got a partner, and that person is still bonding with you and engaging with you, and then they fall for you.
Yeah.
That's a little bit sticky, because for me, if that's happened, then they still have quite a close connection, because that person's not going to fall for someone with no
prior knowledge of the person.
Well, not even that, with no like social interaction.
Yeah, fair.
But if that person is still continuing with them in such a way that they are able to catch those feelings, then in theory they're probably a little bit too close for comfort anyway, considering she's now got a new partner.
That's fair. Yeah.
I don't know. Also, this person obviously can't help that someone likes them, right? But for me, it always comes down to boundaries, and I've said this before, and somehow I end up being the bad guy for saying this, right?
Oh no.
But
here's where we get cancelled.
no, it's nothing bad at all. It's just that I think, for me personally, I see things at face value.
Yeah.
So if someone starts to like me, or if someone's talking to me a little bit too much, I instantly clock onto that and I understand what the deal is. Whereas I think a lot...
do you do that?
No idea.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, right? A lot of people seem to just be completely blind to it, and they will just be talking to someone. Oh, we're great friends. Then all of a sudden, the guy or the girl, whatever, turns around and is like, "Oh, I actually really like you," and then they're suddenly really shocked by that, and they're like, "Oh my god, I never knew. I never saw it coming."
Let me practice my shock face.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's like, do they have blinkers on? Are they naive, or do they just really not see it?
Mate, I'm one of those people.
Yeah,
I'm
I guess you are.
clueless.
Yeah, you are a bit clueless to that. Yeah, and I maybe that is a thing, and maybe I'm just more switched on to it than other people. But for me, I find that situation a little bit frustrating, because it's like, I can see that a mile off. If someone likes someone, I can see that a mile off.
I walk away from a conversation, like we've had it before.
Yeah.
I've walked away from a conversation with a girl, and you've gone, she really likes you.
Yeah,
And I'm like, what?
Yeah, true. Yeah. So maybe it is just a case of some people just don't really see it.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that in that particular scenario, she was good friends with this person before. So let's say she was completely oblivious to the fact that this guy might have started to like her.
Yeah.
But when she got with her partner, you would also like to think that the guy would set boundaries, right? You would also like to think that he now respects the fact that she's got a boyfriend, and so he steps back and says, "Oh, like, that is what it is." But at the same time, she should also probably not be playing up to it as much. It really is a two-way street, isn't it?
I think it is a case of now looking at that, we don't know how long they've been dating,
No.
and it does sound like early days.
Yeah, quite fresh.
So I think, in fairness, I think if it's early days and you kind of confess like, look, I do actually like you, then it isn't necessarily as bad as if they were two,
really
3 years down the line, and then there's a confession. I think it is, the difference is what you do in that situation. Now, if they liked the co-worker, and then they got with their boyfriend, and then decided that actually I do like the co-worker more than the boyfriend, the right thing to do is break up with the boyfriend and then seek whatever it is with the other person. But if they, by the sounds of things, are trying to space away since the confession, you need to tell the other person, this person's confessed that these feelings to me, but don't worry, I'm spacing away from them, I'm not talking to them.
The last thing you want is to hear that from a third party.
Exactly.
Like, let's say, for example, like you're out and she's good friends with a few people from work in this scenario, and then they decide to go out and they're like, oh, bring your boyfriend along. Cool. So he goes out with the girl and some of the co-workers, and it sounds like that's kind of what's happened. And all of a sudden this guy's starting a fight. And it's like, that's the bit that's wild about this story to me. It's not this, because this is a moral dilemma, right? This is like, there is really no right or wrong. It's just about setting boundaries and being honest with people, which can be tricky, obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
In this particular scenario, the co-worker has started like beefing the boyfriend, and it's like...
And he's completely clueless.
Yeah, this guy's got no idea. He's like, why are you starting on me? Like, I'm literally just here with my girlfriend, and all of a sudden you're like...
And imagine that they may have had like a semi-good relationship before that, because if it has been like a recent relationship, like a month or so, he may have already met this person.
Yeah.
So, like, this absolute barrage coming out of nowhere, you're stuck there like...
You'd be like, what on earth is going on? Yeah, but that's because the girl hasn't been honest as well. So it's like, maybe you should just tell him and just be like, look...
Yeah. See, although I wouldn't say that's an honesty thing, I would say that's more of a, you've just admitted something. You haven't said it. I wouldn't say it's necessarily she's lied to him. I would say
not at all. No,
more she's like just not said something that she should have said.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for me, it's like, if that person is your partner and you trust them, then you should be able to go with them and things like that. And be like, and also there's another element of it for me as well anyway, is the severity of that relationship with the co-worker, because they say that they were close before and then she started dating the boyfriend.
How close?
This is exactly it. Yeah. So have they actually done anything? Like, have they kissed? Is there anything sexual there? Whatever. Because if there is, then that's a different ball game. That is, because then you're not, then you're keeping it a secret from the boyfriend, realistically, aren't you? Yeah, whereas if it was just a friendship and it just so happened that this guy started to fancy you, then it's not really down to you, but I think there is still onus on that person to start setting a few boundaries, because I think it is really easy, especially for guys, to latch on to like, oh, this girl kind of like, she's still talking to me, she must like me. Because...
Yeah, and I think there's a wider conversation on that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like, I think there is a level of misunderstanding with men.
Oh yeah, 100%, and it can't be easy for women at all.
No, and it can't be
because if they're just trying to make friends and they're not even trying to put across that flirty side, it could be perceived as more than that. Yeah, and that's probably quite annoying because you just want to make friends.
And I think there is an onus on men to understand when someone is flirting and when someone is not flirting.
Yeah, and to understand people's boundaries and limits.
Equally so, there is an onus on the other person, be that male or female, to well, I mean, the onus is kind of on both sides. It is regardless of gender.
You have to be open in communication.
You have to be open in the communication, and if you're giving those ever so slightly flirty hints without even realising it, some people are just a bit flirty. Then I think it kind of comes to a point where if someone's getting a bit closer or getting like talking to you a little bit more or kind of talking to you in a certain way that you think, oh, maybe, I think at that point you kind of need to go, look, can I just be clear with you? Like, not having a go, no, like nothing wrong, but just to let you know, I'm not flirting with you.
Yeah.
I'm just being
friendly.
That
bit there is, I think, what the conversation that doesn't normally happen. And I think that's
should
what
happen
causes the
more
problem.
often.
Yeah, exactly. That's what causes the problem, I think. And I think, obviously, if that person's perceiving it the wrong way, they will just latch onto that, and they'll be like, and it is a shame, because you want to be able to build those friendships and have
Yeah,
those relationships
100%.
and stuff like that. But I think in this particular situation that we described, like, I think realistically, she should have told him. She should have just said, look,
Yeah.
there's this guy at work, like, we used to be mates, and I didn't realise, but he actually quite likes me, and blah blah blah. And that might create a bit of anxiety in that relationship.
Yeah.
But if you trust each other enough, then it should be fine. What isn't fine, I think, is finding that out through a third party, or finding that out much later on through this guy suddenly starting a fight with you.
And I think
And it's like, well, cool. So if you know this guy likes you and you're still talking to him,
100%. Yeah.
why? Like,
Yeah.
unless you're going to set that boundary and say, no, I'm with so and so. It's such a grey area.
It's such
isn't
a
it?
grey area, but I think, like, for me personally, that's why I value honesty so much.
Oh,
Tell
yeah.
me,
Communication is
even
so
if it hurts
important.
me, every
Yeah.
single episode, communication.
Communication. That is our key message.
That is our
just
key
talk
message.
to people.
Just
talk to people. If you like them, if you don't like them, you just got to be honest.
It's like I said, like, for me, like, that's why honesty is such a key thing for me. Even if it hurts me, just tell me the truth, because I would rather have to deal with a little bit of emotional trauma than be
in the dark and
in the
what
dark.
if
What's going on?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like, just be honest.
Yeah, that's a sticky one. That dilemma, that is a sticky one. But for me, I'd want to know.
Was
it
reading
would probably
it,
make me a little bit anxious, but I'd want to know. Yeah, I think if you're trying to build a life with someone, like, if they're casually dating, it might be something a bit different or whatever. But if you're genuinely boyfriend and girlfriend, you're trying to build a relationship, you've got to be honest from the word go, because otherwise you're always going to have that, oh, who's that person, or like, why is that person talking to you so much, and so on, like, and I don't know, I think the older you get, the more you realise that as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting. That is a good one. That's a good dilemma. I'd be interested to know. I'm sure everyone's been in that situation at some point as well.
I have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I've
I've definitely been in that situation before, and I've not always handled it the best either.
No.
Because sometimes your emotions take over. And
my initial reaction was to avoid the person like the plague. And I to this day still feel quite bad. Like, I mean, me and this person wasn't close, but I still feel quite bad that I just, like, completely avoided them.
Yeah. It's difficult though, isn't it? Because you don't want to upset anyone, but it is. Sometimes you have to have that feedback with each other to be able to understand where you're at and avoid complications like that. That whole thing could have been avoided just by a bit more communication with A, the co-worker, and B, the boyfriend.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Just people don't talk to each other.
It's just the way it goes.
Just the way it goes. There it is. There's the plug for today. Right, let's end on a quote, shall we?
Yes.
So, talking about introversion and extroversion today. So,
I think you had one prepared for this, didn't you?
yeah, completely by coincidence, actually. This is just a quote that I really liked, that I found online, and it really suits this episode. So, as follows. Are you an introvert, or are you just operating on a different frequency than the people around you? That's food for thought. Now, I guess this one doesn't apply to you so much.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting way to think about it.
It is, yeah, because it's like maybe the people around you are just a little bit too energetic for you, or maybe they just don't like the same things that you like. And in that case, you're thinking maybe you're more introverted because you just want to avoid those situations and you want to spend more time by yourself. Or actually, is it just that you haven't found your people yet?
That is true. Yeah. I would agree more with the you haven't found your people yet.
Yeah.
Because I think regardless, introvert, extrovert, when you find those people that you stick around with for a long time, that understand you the best, doesn't matter, introvert, extrovert, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You found lifelong friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Also, if you find people who enjoy the same hobbies that you do, and they have the same interests, then in theory, going out and doing those things with those people will be less of a chore.
Yeah, because you'll enjoy it more.
Yeah, because
you're on
the same wavelength.
People. Exactly.
Yeah. Or if you click and you have really easy conversation, you're not going to feel awkward trying to fill the gaps.
Oh God, yeah.
So yeah, I think that it's a good one to think about. If you consider yourself to be an introvert, is it that you're really introverted and you just like your own space, or is it just because you find the people that you are currently around a little bit draining because they're quite extroverted in comparison?
Or they don't understand you as well.
Yeah.
That's an interesting bit of food for thought.
Isn't it just? Talking of food, I quite fancy a sarnie, don't you?
Lunchtime!
Thank you so much for watching, guys, or listening on all of the usual platforms at twig.podcast on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. And of course, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, this one. I've quite enjoyed this conversation, actually, because we're kind of in different wavelengths about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's always interesting to get different opinions on it. And I'd like this one, I'm really interested to hear feedback from other people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
On how they feel about the topic.
Leave some feedback for us in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we always appreciate the messages. DM us,
absolutely.
leave the comments, all that good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. We've got the Christmas special coming up, so stay tuned. And
Christmas time. Copyright ad wine.
Oh no. We've been
Demonetized.
yeah, demonetized, yeah. Well, we're not monetized yet, so it's fine.
Oh, well, that works out even better.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, watching, all that good stuff, and for your continued support. It really means a lot. We're going in now to next week, episode 10, and we're going to keep this going. And
Milestone episode.
Yeah, milestone episode. So
Yeah.
we could have given up after episode 2, but we've stuck at it.
We've stuck at it.
Yeah, and hopefully.
I love this.
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
this.
Me too.
Genuinely, like I really enjoy just sitting down and having these conversations.
Yeah. It's really like food for thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
Insightful.
insightful.
Yeah.
Or just idiotic. Or somewhere in between. That's another scale, isn't it?
Where do we sit on the scale, guys? Don't comment that.
Yeah. And on that terrifying bombshell, it's time to end. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week.